So, reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is, translation and commentary, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So it's chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized, verse 61 today. Correct? Yes. Okay. Please repeat. Tani, Sarvani, Samyamya, Yukta, Asita, Matpara, Vashe, Hi, Yashendriyani, Tasya, Pragya, Pratishtita, Tani Sarvani Samyamya, Yukta Asita Matparaha, Vasehi Yashendriyani, Tasya Pragya Pratishtita. Okay, word for word, please repeat. Tani, those senses. Sarvani, all. Samyamya, keeping under control. Yuktaha, engaged. Ashita, should be situated. Matpara, in relationship with me. Vase, in full subjugation. He, certainly. Yashya, one whose. Indriyani, senses. Tasya, his. Prajna, consciousness. Pratishtita, fixed. Translation Srila Prabhupada. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. Please repeat. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. Purport Srila Prabhupada. That the highest conception of yoga perfection is Krishna consciousness is clearly explained in this verse. And unless one is Krishna conscious, it is not at all possible to control the senses. As cited above, the great sage Durvasha Muni picked a quarrel with Maharaj Ambarish, and Durvasa Muni unnecessarily became angry out of pride, and therefore could not check his senses. On the other hand, the king, although not as powerful a yogi as the sage, but a devotee of the Lord, silently tolerated all the sage's injustices, and thereby emerged victorious. The king was able to control his senses because of the following qualifications, as mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4:18-20. Savai mana Krishna padara vindayor, vachamsi vaikunta gunanavanane, karo hare mandira majana dishu, shrutim chakra chuta sat kato daye. Mukunda lingaya laya darshane drasto, tad britya gata sprishe nyang sangamam. Griranam cha tatpada sarocha sarobe, Srimad Tulsaya rasanam tad apite. Pado hare chetra pada nusharpane, shiro Hrishikesha pada bi vandane. Kamanchadasye natu karma kamyaya yatatama sloka janashraya riti. Translation. King Ambarish fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, engaged his words in describing the abode of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing the pastimes of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the form of the Lord, his body in touching the body of the devotee, his nostrils in smelling the flavor of the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulasi leaves offered to him, his legs in traveling to the holy place where his temple is situated, his head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in fulfilling the desires of the Lord. And all these qualifications made him fit to become a matpara, devotee of the Lord. The word matpara is most significant in this connection. How one can become matpara is described in the life of Maharaj Ambarisha. Sri Baladev Vidyabhushana, a great scholar and acharya in the line of matpara, remarks, Mad bhakti prabhavena savendriya vijaya purvika samatma dristi salabhiti bhavaha. The senses can be completely controlled only by the strength of devotional service to Krishna. Also, the example of fire is sometimes given. As a blazing fire burns everything within a room, Lord Vishnu, situated in the heart of the yogi, burns up all kinds of impurities. The Yoga Sutra also prescribes meditation on Vishnu, and not meditation on the void. The so-called yogis who meditate on something other than Vishnu simply waste their time in a vain search after some phantasmagoria. We have to become Krishna conscious, devoted to the personality of Godhead. This is the aim of real yoga. Yes. Mukum karochi vachalam pangam laite girim yad kripa tamaham bande Shri Guru Nrinatarinam. Tani sarvani samyam ya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yashendriyani tasya bragya pratishtita. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady intelligence. Yes. So this is a very important section. If we look now to verse 239, I believe, if my memory serves me well. Yes. Esteti brita sankhye buddhir yoge chwamya shrinu. Thus far I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works. So you see that thus far I've described knowledge through analytical study. So sometimes the second chapter is called Sankhya Yoga, but it's also good translation, of course, contents of Gita summarized. Sankhya Yoga seeks to find or elucidate the difference between matter and spirit. So in the first part, Arjuna was saying, I can't fight, it's too horrific. On the battlefield, killing all these people, they're my relatives and seniors, I can't do that. But Krishna said, and then he said, oh, I'm confused, Arjuna, Krishna, now I surrender unto you. And then Krishna said, look, Arjuna, you have to understand you're not the body. You're a spirit soul. The soul is eternal, the body is temporary. Whatever is born must die in terms of body. So the abhorrence to killing the people on the battlefield, whether they're your relatives or not, you can cast this aside because we're not the material body. So this is the basic idea of Sankhya, to distinguish between matter and spirit. And in Sankhya Yoga, Kapila Muni, the basic idea, the analogy is given that just like a chickpea, within the skin is two halves. So one is matter and one is spirit. So this material body is matter, but we are the spirit soul within the body, that is spirit. We're encased in this. We're mixed up with the material energy. So we take the material body as everything, and we think that if we preserve the material body, then I'm preserved. And we impose that idea on others. Oh, they will live forever if their body lives forever. But Krishna is explaining through Sankhya, like he says here, analytical study. That is a reference to Sankhya, analyzing the difference between matter and spirit. So, he's done that. But now in this section, within which we are presently studying, verse 61, Krishna is explaining the other half. You see that? He says, I've described through analytical study. Now listen, I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of work. Now if you look at verse number 1 of chapter 3, yes, Karma Yoga, Arjuna said, you see that Arjuna Vacha, Yashyasi Shekarmanaste Mata Buddhiya Janardana. Arjuna said, Oh Janardan, why do you want me to engage in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? So this is also a reference. Intelligence, Arjuna is referring to all, you talked about Sankhya Yoga, we're not the Mahdi, but then you are also saying that we have to use the intelligence in Sankhya to be detached, but now you're telling me to do this work. So Arjuna's confused. What is the relationship between analytical study or knowledge of matter and spirit and how to act without fruitive results? Now that phrase on its own is very confusing, is it not? Without fruitive results. Like if you work in a factory, you're making a motor car, the fruit will be there whether you're Krishna conscious or not. Right? There's always some result to activity. Karma. So what does this mean? Fruitive result. It means without a karmic result. You understand? Without a result that is tied to you. Because if we act on our own desires, then we have to take the result, the karma, ourselves. This is a very important point. Prabhupada gives the example that just like a man in a war, he may shoot 100 people, but he gets a medal because he's acting for the government, he's acting under the direction of the government. But then if he takes that same weapon and goes home and shoots his next door neighbor and all the people on the street, they will throw him in the jail, right? They may hang him. Why? Because he's acting not under higher authority. So the idea of without fruitive results means how, Arjuna, you can act in this battle without karmic result. You understand? And that means you perform your dharma, your karma, as an offering to me. That is the basic idea. And chapter 3 is Karma Yoga. Krishna will explain that. So, also Krishna will explain that there's no fundamental dichotomy there's no difference between acting in knowledge and acting without karmic results. In fact, Krishna will explain that they're very interdependent. Because without knowledge, how you can act without fruitive results? Unless you have the knowledge, unless you have spiritual knowledge, and spiritual knowledge will take you to this spiritual platform. Just like last week we discussed verse 55. Right? Let's have a quick look at that. Sri Bhagavan Avacha. This is the start of this section where Krishna explains how you can act without fruitive or karmic result. Pragyahi Karman. 55. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Right? So first you must have knowledge that there is spirit, that spirit is a different category of energy, that is a different category of existence from material life. You must have that knowledge. Then you can act without karmic results. So this is the relationship. The beginning of spiritual knowledge, as we always emphasize throughout all Shastra, is to understand that you're not the material body and that spirit is a different category. Right? In the Vishnu Puran, there's 3 categories of energy of Vishnu. One is the Chit Shakti, one is the spiritual energy, one is the Achit Shakti, the material energy, the Pradhan, which transforms into the material Prakriti, and then there is the Jiva Shakti. So the Jiva Shakti, when he acts on his own impetus for his own satisfaction, when he wants to serve himself, that is the field of the material energy. So he becomes bound by karma because he's acting for his own satisfaction, his own impetus. So therefore he becomes entangled, karma bandhana, lokoyam karma bandhana. All the people of this material world are bound by their fruitive activities. I think we quoted right. We'll do it again. In the Brahma Samhita, Yastvindra Gopam Atavendra Mahosva Karma Bandhana Rupam Falambhajanamatanoti Karmadi Nirdahati Kintu Chabakti Bhajam Govindamadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami. Yes, 54. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who burns up to their roots all fruitive activities of those who are imbued with devotion to the Supreme Lord, and impartially ordains for each the due enjoyment of the fruits of one's activities, of all those who walk in the path of work, karma, in accordance with the chain of their previously performed work, no less in the case of the tiny insect that bears the name of Indragopa than that of Indra, king of the Devas. So this is the 2 paths. If you're in the material world, from the point of view of the material world, if you are acting with devotion under the direction of higher authority, like we gave the example, but in this case, under the direction of Shastra, Acharya, and bona fide Guru. If you're acting in that way, if you're performing your material duties, your dharma, your responsibilities, as an offering to the spiritual master, as an offering to Krishna, then you're walking the path of bhakti. So Krishna karmadi nirharditi, he burns up all those karmas. And so that means, yes, you have a woman's body, I have a man's body, we have this body, that body. It's all in accordance with the chain of our previously performed works. So how to become out of it so that we don't go into another material body. We don't transmigrate life after life. And that is the path of bhakti. That means to take shelter, spiritual master, acharya and shastra, and perform your duties for his his satisfaction. As Prabhupada says, yes, at the end of today's purport, if you remember, Prabhupada always puts a wonderful sentence at the end. We have to be Krishna conscious, devoted to the personality of Godhead. This is the real aim of real yoga. This is the aim of real yoga. Yes. The Yoga Sutra also prescribes meditation on Vishnu and not meditation on the void. That's another topic. But the thing is, this is the point. So you must have knowledge. Right? This is Arjuna. Of course, Arjuna is a great devotee, great realized, but under Yoga Maya, he's confused, and he puts this question there at the beginning of the 3rd chapter. Because he's heard Krishna in this chapter, oh, you're giving me intelligent Sankhya Yoga, you're talking we're not the body, we're not this, we're the soul. So somebody may say, if you're not the body, not the soul, then why bother with the battle? Right? You know, I don't have any duty. I'm going to be Sukadev Goswami. Sukadev Goswami, as soon as he was born, he just left. His father was Veda Vyas. But he thought, this is dangerous, this family situation. Material affection will bind me to this world. So he went looking for the sages at Namasharanya. And then, now I can do my real business, speak Srimad Bhagavatam, glorify Krishna. So that is the ultimate position of a devotee, completely detached from any material affection or entanglement. But how are we going to deal with that? That was Arjuna's ploy at the beginning. He says it's better to live by begging Krishna than to engage in this terrible battle. It's better that I leave the battlefield and become a beggar than fight. Then I'll get all this bad karma. But you can't artificially be Sukadev Goswami. You can't affect the position of a Paramahamsa when you're still a sadhaka or a neophyte. You have to have knowledge. So knowledge will bring you to the platform of liberation. Because we're entangled in the material energy because of lack of knowledge, because of ignorance. We're thinking we're the material body, we're thinking this material world is for my enjoyment, let me lord it over this material energy and enjoy. But we become entangled. But that is the material illusion. So how we can, but we're all habituated to that. So we can't artificially become Sukadev Goswami and say, I'm just going to get some torn cloth and then wander in the streets. You'll just catch coronavirus. That may not be a possibility, but anyway. But the point is that you are affecting, you're posing a position that you're not qualified for. And you will see in Uddhava Gita, chapter 29, in 11th canto, that question is asked. What is impiety? What is pap? And what is punya? And the answer is given by Krishna to Uddhava. He says to act in accordance with your qualification, that is piety. And to act above it, artificially, or act below it, that is pap. So you must know your level. That is the grace of Shastra Guru Acharya. You can take instruction from devotee and you can say, you should practice sadhana bhakti. That's generally the case. And then gradually you become liberated. But the initial part of bhakti is to understand the Dashamula, to understand Siddhanta, to understand Sambandha Gyan, to understand the difference between matter and spirit, what is the nature of the soul, what is the nature of Supreme Lord, what is the nature of our relationship. All these items of Sambandha Gyan, they must be understood. And that gives the liberation upon which we can engage in non-fruitive activity. Do you understand? Because as soon as you realize I'm the spirit soul, this changes your whole worldview. As soon as you think you're the material body, then you'll have that material body. You'll think I'll enjoy in this way. If I'm Chinese, I'll enjoy in the Chinese way. If I'm South American, I'll enjoy in the South American way. If I'm an Eskimo, I'll enjoy in the Eskimo. If I'm a polar bear, I'll enjoy in that way. We'll try to enjoy in relationship to our view of ourselves. But if in the human form of life we can understand I'm not this material body, I'm a spirit soul, and we can contemplate that and combine this Shravanam with Kirtan, with chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, then we can act on the transcendental platform. And we can gradually become elevated. Also, while we're on the subject, this is very important. Yes, a few verses later on. Pramanas chad sadachara stada bhyashya nirantaram bodhayan atma atmanam bhaktim apyutamam labet. Yes. Yes, that's verse 59. The highest devotion is attained by slow degrees, by the method of constant endeavor for self-realization. This is Krishna to Lord Brahma. With the help of three things. I think we've discussed this. Scriptural evidence, pramana. Theistic conduct, that means rules and regulations of bhakti, sadhana, whatever's pertinent, and perseverance in practice. Pramana stad sadachara stada bhyasya nirantaram. Nirantaram means you must be constantly, or else if you leave a gap, then Maya will come in. So the practice of sadhana means to develop to the point where you're always applying yourself to Krishna, to consciousness. In the beginning, we'll waver. Therefore, we have to do it in a regulated manner. But the idea is to attain this spiritual taste and become relieved from attachment to the result of our activities for ourselves, but rather to perform our activities through bhakti, through devotion, under the guidance of Shastra, Acharya, and Guru. But it's necessary to have this knowledge. It's not that. So the first job of the Guru, Prabhupada, you'll find in a purport in chapter 9, he says the first business of the Guru is to give Sambandha Gyan, is to give knowledge of matter, spirit, spirit, soul, and Bhagavan, and all the interrelationships. And that knowledge, when it's absorbed by a devotee who's following the sadhana, rules of sadhana, will bring him to the platform of realization. I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. His soul will awaken from slumber. His swarup will start to awaken. Just like a seed. When you have good weather conditions, like now it's springtime, so it's warm and the weather is good, the seeds sprout. So the consciousness starts to sprout under sadhana, regulated. And then it becomes easy to understand spiritual knowledge. So the rules of sadhana bring you to the mode of goodness. From the mode of goodness, you can understand spiritual knowledge. From the mode of passion, it's confusing and not attractive. Oh, I'm enjoying. And in the mode of ignorance, the Rakshasa Bhav, you just want to be a controller. What do you mean I have to serve? Why should we serve? So of course, this is the malignant idea in the spiritual material world. Nobody wants to be a servant, even though they're serving their family, their nation, the taxman, everyone. They're serving their dog, taking it for a walk, buying it lunch or whatever in a wet market. So this activity, we're always servant. But the thing is, we won't, in the material consciousness, we don't want to recognize it. We want to think that I am not the servant, I'm the controller, and I'm enjoyer. Just like beginning of Ishopanishad. Ishavasya idam sarvam yat kinchat jagadam jagat. Everything is controlled and owned by the Lord. So in the material world, everyone wants to be the controller and enjoyer. Right? But this is just a phantasmagoria. Nobody is controller and enjoyer in this world. Right? Just like now, the whole world is worried about virus. Nobody's enjoying. Nobody's controlling. They cannot control the virus. Everyone is under control, under their karmic control. I have this material body, the capabilities, the potencies of this material body, they control me. Your material body controls you to a certain extent. And nor are we the enjoyer. We have some titillation of the senses. We enjoy just, I had a good meal, I enjoyed. But this is not material this is material enjoyment, the senses. And the consciousness sees, he had a good meal, so that's enjoyment. But it's material enjoyment with relationship to the body. But real enjoyment, rasa vaisaha, namani chintamani krishnas, chaitanya rasa vigraha, is on the transcendental platform. So in this section here, Krishna is explaining the qualities of transcendence. Just like we started 55. So here it is. And how to maintain this awareness of the spiritual platform. This is a very important point, because we are sadhakas, so our perception of the spiritual platform is minimal. Because for many, many lifetimes, at least for myself, I've been bound in the material energy. So the tendency is to act, just like it is said here. The personality of Godhead said, Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. You see this? He's giving up material concoction. In this material world, everyone has a concocted idea of reality. I'm this material body, the things related to this body, they belong to me, and everyone is forgetful of their true nature, which is spiritual. So transcendental consciousness is perceived not by the material senses, but by the spiritual senses. You know that verse, very famous verse, Atak Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhavad Graham Indriya Sevan Mukhi Jivado Swayameva Spuriyada. The name, form, qualities and pastimes of Krishna, the transcendental realm, is beyond the material senses. So how can we see it? My body is material. My mind is material, full of material conceptions, that I'm this body, that the paraphernalia of this body, it belongs to me. I'm full of this material conception. How can I overcome that? Because if you want to perceive spirit, then you have to have a spiritual item, right? To measure it. So that is the soul. Therefore, Krishna says, Manashastra Indriyani, that the mind or the consciousness or purified consciousness is the instrument by which spirit is perceived. But the problem, at least for myself, is I'm a neophyte. I think in a material fashion. And my material mind, material body, my instruments, but they're not fit for perceiving spirit. So sadhaka, Shravanam, sadhaka wants to purify his mind and particularly meaning his consciousness, to a point so that his consciousness can perceive spirit. And that is what yoga practice is all about. Yoga practice is not about becoming slim, attractive, having better sex life, living longer. The real thing about yoga is union. Yoga means union plus. It means union with spirit. So yoga practice at the beginning is to purify the mind and body. And with the purified mind and body, apply the consciousness to the transcendental platform. We explained last week that there's 4 levels of consciousness. There's deep sleep, susupti, there's swapna, there's the dreaming state, there's jagra, there's the awakening state, but there's a 4th state called turiya, and that is the transcendental platform. So in this section, Krishna is inspiring Arjuna and teaching Arjuna what the spiritual platform is like, so that he can maintain his consciousness and search for that platform. Because we are awake, right? But where is spirit? So that is perceived through Shravanam, Kirtana, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, right? Hearing about spirit from the right source, from Acharya, Guru and Sadhu, describing spirit, Kirtan, Smaranam, meditation on spirit, and Padasevanam, serving spirit. This is Bhagavad Mark, the first 4. So here is transcendental consciousness described by the Supreme Lord. Right? So we'll continue, verse 56. One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. Again, he's detached. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may attain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. So he's not into this duality. This is good, this is bad. Of course, there are things that are good and bad, but the thing is, he's seeing it. This is all the grace of Krishna. This has the sanction of Krishna. And that is the beginning of the Bhagavatam. If you remember, Kali was being beaten. Kali was beating Dharma. And then Parikshit Maharaj, dutiful Kshatriya, came along and said, who is beating you like this? So Dharma did not say Kali. What he said to Parikshit Maharaj is very interesting. He said, well, there are many philosophers. Some people say we suffer because of our previous activities. Some philosophers say it's by chance. Some philosophers say it's because of this. And in the purports, Prabhupada explains that there are 6 darshans of the Vedic knowledge. Darshans means views of the Vedic knowledge, interpretations. We are following the 6th, Veda Vyasa's Upashana Kanda. So, what are we going to do? Dharma says to Parikshit Maharaj, so I'm confused. But all I understand, he says, he goes through their philosophies, and then he says, but whatever good and evil, it's coming to me, it has the sanction of Krishna. Because I know, Vasudeva Savamiti Sarmahat, right? What is the realized platform? The realized platform is that Vasudeva is everything. So therefore, what is happening to me, Dharma says, that has his sanction. He is supreme controller. He is Paramatma. He is Bhagavan. He is controller. So he is sanctioning it. Now this is a very important point. Sometimes people say, it's the will of the Lord. Like I fall off my bicycle and I break my leg. And somebody may say, oh, it's the will of the Lord. No. It has the sanction of the Lord. It's not the will. This is a foolish idea that comes from the tribal religions. Everything is the will of the Lord. No, the will of the Lord, the plan of the Lord, the plan of expressed by Lord Chaitanya is that everyone gets out of this miserable material world and takes eternal life. But Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is sanctioning karmic results. Just like I read there, it's very wonderful how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta impartially ordains. Do you understand ordains? It means sanctions. So he's giving he's ordaining the results according to the laws of karma, but it's not his will that you suffer in hell. It's not his will that you get coronavirus or something like that. But it's a sanction. So Dharma says, so therefore, because it has the sanction of the Lord, I take it as his mercy. So then Parikshit Maharaj, after hearing Dharma, he says, now I can tell who you are. You are the personality of Dharma, because you are speaking the absolute transcendental vision of this world. You are following. You are not seeing good and evil. You're seeing it's the mercy of Krishna. And often you'll find that devotees, they say, do they not? Mercy of Krishna. Right? It's the mercy of Krishna. So we should understand this, that the bad things that happen in this world, good and evil, the devotee sees them as being sanctioned by the Lord in terms of himself. It's Krishna's mercy. So I accept it. And so there's that verse, Tattena nukampatam. I don't know that sloka. Edamana shushukshamana. Huh? Say the whole verse. Okay, good enough. First line is good. Tattena nukampatam. Prabhupada would quote that verse very often. So that verse says, he who takes the good and evil of this world as the mercy of Krishna and all the time offers his obeisances to the Supreme Lord with his heart, he becomes the rightful inheritor of the spiritual world. Just in the same way, the son is the rightful inheritor of the property of the father. So this is the very important point. So the devotee, he understands this. Oh, it's good and evil, but it has the sanction of the Lord. Superficially, materially, it may be labeled as good and evil, but it has the sanction of the Lord. I take it as his mercy, and I offer my obeisances. Somehow or other, the Lord has sanctioned this in accordance with my previous karmas. So therefore, I offer my obeisances. And then, to emphasize this again, if you have that mentality, then you inherit the spiritual world. You understand? But if you say, oh, it shouldn't have happened to this, it's his fault. Nowadays, everyone's a victim. Right? Victim psychology, victim syndrome. Oh, I'm sick because of you, I'm sick because of her, I'm sick because of the government. No, you're sick because of your karmic results. Now take it as the Supreme Lord's mercy, but that doesn't mean to say sit idly. If you become sick, then fight the disease. Just like Krishna is telling Arjuna, fight. Don't sit down, Arjuna, do your duty. So we must maintain this body, but we see the whole event as the arrangement of the Lord. So that's, yes, in the material, who is unaffected by good and evil he may obtain, neither praising, despising, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. That's Dharma. That's the first canto. One who is able to withdraw his senses, now this is the yogic ability. Now this is how we can attain transcendence. From sense objects, as the tortoise draws its limbs within a shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. Now later on in the Gita, Krishna will explain the steps by which you can actually do this. If you want to practice smaranam, and you're purified in consciousness, you can do that. Meditation on the Supreme Lord, His Leela. Then the idea is, the Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, Manasa Deho Geho. First you withdraw your consciousness from the external material paraphernalia. My glasses, my smartphone, right? I'm not these glasses, I withdraw my consciousness from that. And then those things are related to the body. So then the yogi thinks, I am not this material body. I am the mind. Right? So this is a methodology of withdrawing the senses. Oh, I'm not the mind, I'm consciousness. Oh no, I'm not consciousness, I'm the source of consciousness. Another step. Oh, my consciousness, I'm an angsa of supreme consciousness, the supreme person. So this is the steps. First the geha, like Bhaktivinoda says, I give you everything, my griha, my body, my mind, I offer it all to you. So this is the bhakti-yoga. And you can practice this before you chant. After Mangalarti, Tulsi Puja, sit down for half a minute and think, I'm nothing to do with this material paraphernalia. I'm not this material body. I'm not this contaminated consciousness. I'm spirit soul, and I'm part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And yajnanam japa. Of all sacrifices, I am japa. And then we chant, offering our chanting to the Supreme Lord. And then you will attain transcendental consciousness through that seva bhav, through that exercise. It's called Bhota Shuddhi. You can read it in Hari Bhakti Vilas. But also throughout the Shastra. So then I'll repeat that sloka. One who is able to withdraw sense as a tortoise draws his limbs within the shell is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. Though the embodied soul may be restricted, this is a very famous verse, Vishya Vinivatante Nihirasya Dehina. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But seeking such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. Now that's very important. As soon as you wake up in the morning, you must remember, instead of feeling, I've got to take a shower, you got to think, you got to immediately fix the mind on the Supreme Lord. The way I do it is, I have a little recorder with all Prabhupada's lectures, and as soon as I wake up, I switch it on. And as soon as I hear Prabhupada's voice, I immediately come out of that, when you wake up you're kind of groggy. I go, yeah, that's right. And that is very important, that you must understand that sadhana means that, to actually take the consciousness somehow or other, through maybe you want a big picture at the end of your bed, so you wake up and you see Lord Chaitanya. You have something that brings you immediately to spiritual platform. And then, now I can chant. Now I must read Gita. Now I must go to Bhagavad Mangalarti. That is the art of sadhana. Understanding what is spirit and taking the consciousness and applying it. Right? Keeping them under full control and fixes his consciousness me. So that's today. Oh, it's blown over. Yes. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. But ceasing engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So we have these material propensities. This is the problem of sadhana, right? We have our material swabhav. We have our attachment to all the material things that we've being cultivating our life. So we have to control them, discipline them, and then withdraw the consciousness and find the transcendental platform. And then you become fixed. Why? Because by experiencing a higher taste, this is the thing. Just like when you wake up, you're in but then you listen to Prabhupada, or you look at a beautiful picture of Krishna and you visualize Krishna in the heart, then immediately that is a better state of consciousness than feeling groggy, right? So this is the art. You'll find this 4th chapter of Gita, that the sage his attention is within. His goal is within. So that means within the heart. Krishna is within the heart. So the devotee looks for Krishna within the heart. And then 60, yesterday, the senses are so strong and impetuous, O John, that they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. Yes, so that's, the senses. They're conditioned to enjoy materially. Mental concoction. We think they will give us happiness. So if we don't have this knowledge, we can get carried away. We can leave sadhana. And we can slowly lose our sadhana and then just get swept up in the material energy and born again. But the yogi wants to take his senses, and particularly his purified consciousness, and find Krishna. Through Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. And then today's verses. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixes his consciousness upon me, is known of a man of steady intelligence. So this is the spiritual path. While contemplating objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment lust develops, and from lust anger arises. Right, that's Jayato Vishyam Pumsham Sangosteshu Parshite. Yeah, so that next verse, that's a big discussion. Calm. Because yes, okay, I'm inspired. I've heard the sadhus. I've heard my guru. I've read the acharyas. I've read the shastra. Yes, I want to attain spiritual existence, eternal. I want to wake up my swarup. But the senses say no. You should overeat. You should eat non-devotional food. You should talk prajalpa. You should become a Marxist. You should do everything, but don't take to that. So that this is it. This is the object. This is the lust, the calm. We're tuned in to enjoying the material world. So this is the fight. That's why everyone is a hero. Every yogi is a hero. A hero is not a mountain climber. A hero is somebody who decides, I'm not going to be caught by the material energy. I'm going to follow the rules of my spiritual master, the rules of Shastra, and I'm going to achieve Krishna consciousness. That is the hero. That is the real journey. The journey is not to the North Pole, South Pole, whatever. The real journey is to go to transcendence. And the tapasya is to follow the discipline of the spiritual master, the Shastra. But if you can't do it properly, then like you fall off a bicycle, you get back on the bicycle without being neurotic. You just say, I have this aim. And even if I'm not perfect now, which is to be understood, just like the child. Does the child start to dance as soon as he stands up? No, the child is crawling. Then he tries to stand up. He falls down. He may even cry. But then he stands up for a bit longer. And then he learns, you see, in the temple, oh, the children, oh, I can run now. You see the toddlers, oh, I'm enjoying. So that is like sadhana bhakti. We are absorbing knowledge, but because the child is trying, he learns. He doesn't think, oh, standing up is not very good because you fall down every now and again and I'm hurting my knee. So I'm going to live the rest of my life on my belly. Right? Or everyone here has learnt to walk. But after learning to walk, then you can dance. Then you're a Paramahamsa. Right? But in the period of sadhana, just try to walk. But if you have problem, don't become neurotic. Many years people, they have trouble in spiritual life, and then they think, oh, I'll tell you a story. Prabhupada had a servant, I won't mention his name, and this was way back when, and he had problems, and he was Prabhupada's personal servant, doing a lot of personal service for Prabhupada, and he had problems with his mind and senses, and he went away for a few months. And then he came back 6 months later, and Prabhupada said, he came back to Prabhupada and said, oh, Prabhupada, I'm so sorry, I lost control of my mind and senses, you know. And Prabhupada said, you make good rasgula, don't you? I remember. Go to the kitchen and make me some rasgula. That's what Prabhupada's answer was. He didn't chastise him, he didn't say anything, it was no big discussion, you're this, you should do this, you should do that. Often you know, these foolish people, they want to knock you down. They want to use the 4 regulative principles to bang you on the head. You're not a pure devotee. Well, I only joined yesterday. Well, that's your fault. You should have joined last week. So Voltaire, he's a philosopher, he said, don't let the perfect should not become the enemy of the good. Of course, we think we're perfect. We shouldn't think, oh, I'm on this level, then I can chastise. That is not I saw that practically with Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, okay. Oh, he didn't even say okay. He said, you make nice rasgula, right? Off to the kitchen. I'm hungry for rasgula. So the devotee went there and everything went on. No big inquisition, nothing. So don't expect yourself to be perfect. Don't bang yourself over the head. But just keep trying to chant. Krishna's always there. Krishna's unlimitedly merciful. Lord Chaitanya, Namo Mahavadanyaya. He's not looking for fault. He's looking to help you. Just like the parents of that child. They don't think, oh, look at this child, he keeps falling down. No, they think, oh, look, what a delight to see him trying. And then they hold the child, right, by the hands. So that's how we should feel in the period of sadhana. We should understand, yes, now I have to become equipoised and balanced. I have to absorb knowledge through the Shastra, from the sadhu, from the acharya, and now let me try to perfect my sadhana. But perform sadhana as an offering to Guru and Krishna. You understand? Then you'll be perfect. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay. Any question?
Yes.
Of course.
I'm sorry to carry on. But when you were talking about sanction, actually I have 2 questions. Shall I start with a simple one? Daily practical situation thing. Suppose everything you do which is not dedicated to God or it is not for God, you said and it's written, it is giving karma. Okay, suppose I have nothing to do, I'm retired, I'm going to my friends who are illiterate, or they coming from other country to my country, and I'm good good enough to teach them the language. So then they can follow another level school and they can get a certificate.
What's the question?
The question is, I am giving them lesson, and how can I make that? I want them to reach something in the society which is very strange for them. They are from Africa and I live in Europe. So I happen to be teacher and I happen to have...
You want to teach them, they live in Africa and you live in Europe?
No, they come from Africa and living in Europe, they don't know the language. So they will never get a job. Anyway,
what's the question?
Should have
the question.
So, okay, my question. I am
two questions you said.
Yes. This
First one now.
Yes, for the other one is
one sentence, one question.
Okay, the one I'm giving lesson to them. How am I supposed to make it spiritual? They have to learn to read.
That's what the class was around. First give them knowledge and then give them knowledge. Sambandha Gyan. Huh?
Not about Bhagavad-Gita. They learn their Dutch language. And they don't know nothing. They are Arabian people, mostly Arabian or Muslim-speaking countries.
So then you tell them to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We have to finish now because we have to go to Aarti.
That is a piece of my practice.
This is the whole thing. Listen, Lord, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's 3 levels of preaching given. First is Harinam and Prasadam distribution, right? And then second level, Madhyama, is that when people are purified by hearing and by chanting and prasadam, then they can understand the philosophy. Then they can understand Sambandha Gyan, Abhidaya Prayojan, right?
But these people...
And then, don't interrupt. And then the third one is, the third level is discussion of Krishna Leela. That is not for public discussion. That is for intimate discussion between qualified disciple and qualified guru. You see? So, if you want your friends to become Krishna conscious and they don't know any language, this and that, you cook them nice prasad and you have kirtan.
It's the simplest way.
It's as simple as that. Okay, thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada, Sadhu Sangha, Bhagavad-Gita, Ki Jai.